Right.
All right, welcome everyone to the Sacramento Storytellers Guild monthly gathering of storytellers. Today we have 6 unbelievably amazing storytellers and 2 unbelievably amazing poets. And we are going to start off our afternoon with kind of a newbie storyteller who got involved maybe, about 6, 8, 10 months ago. She's the woman who wrote this amazing program that you can see on Zoom, but we all have it here. I mean, she's an unbelievable artist. She just started telling stories live maybe 4 months ago. And the first story she told was unbelievable. I said, come on, you've got to get involved with us. And so now she's a groupie. She's went to the Bay Area Storytelling Festival. She's part of the Storytelling Association of California. She's going to go to the Timpanogos Storytelling Festival in Utah with me. And if you want to learn more about that, it is an amazing thing. We could carpool over that way. It's an unbelievable weekend of high-level storytellers and workshops, and just an amazing location in south of Salt Lake City, about 40 miles or so, in a town called Lehigh. So let us not wait any further. Suzanne, besides being an amazing new storyteller, and she is an artist. She paints the most amazing pictures, and has had a career doing that. She's a marketing genius. She's really already helped our program out a lot. So please welcome Suzanne LaCour as our first storyteller.
This is my emotional support animal.
Oh,
Oh, I'm the wrong one. Sorry.
that's the camera.
Okay, emotional support animal. We'll start over. Well, first of all, thank you and thanks Ed very much for introducing me so graciously. My name is Suzanne, like shoes on, and all kids come from the zoo, or so you think, but they also may come from the store, which is kind of cool because that is also at the zoo. Proof. My parents decided to adopt a child late in life. They already had kids that were grown, and they saw some TV show that talked about the influx of children coming into the United States through orphanages from Vietnam, because a lot of our soldiers were going over there and meeting people, and a lot of the people there were rejecting these beautiful babies. So my parents said, well, we should get us one of them kids. So they went and applied for one of those kids the next day. They asked him, what age do you want? I don't care. What sex do you want? Doesn't matter. As long as they need a home, we're happy to show it to them. And then they showed a Polaroid picture of me, and Dad goes, she don't look like I'm Eurasian, but we'll take her. She needs a home. So where do you think they went to get me? They picked me up at the William Land Park Zoo, Sacramento Zoo. Thank you. I want to drop her. She can stay right here with me. Well, they got me, I was 13 months old. And all I heard all my life was that you're adopted. You're adopted. It wasn't until I was 16, my mom said, oh, we got you on purpose. And she looked at her other kids' pictures on the wall, and I felt like, well, I guess I'm pretty precious. Well, I thought all kids come from the zoo because when I was 3, my mom and dad, I had imaginary playmates. I was so creative. I was like, hello, hi, Gary. Gary did it. Gary, it was his fault. He definitely did it. My sister just showed up and my niece, hello. So I was just really excited that we were gonna go get me a little boy. And I was gonna have a brother. And because I had imaginary playmates, I'm like, oh, one more playmate, no problem. Now I had about 10 different playmates, all I had a nurse, I had a sheep herder. I had a variety of things. I had somebody that ran an ice cream parlor. They really liked me. And I was so excited that I was gonna get somebody to play with. And I didn't think about the difference between a real kid and an imaginary kid. I just knew we were gonna get another kid. So where do you think that they went to pick them up? The zoo. The Sacramento Zoo. And of course, all my baby pictures are me at the zoo, the day that they got me. And a lot of them, I went to the zoo. So again, we went and got him. Guess what they named him? Gary. The one I blamed everything on. Oh my gosh. Well, I still blamed everything on Gary, but my parents we'd been at the table and I'd knock over something and my mom would say, "You picked that up right now." And I'm like, "I didn't do it. Gary did it." And then she said, "But Gary's right here." And I'm like, "The other Gary." So I didn't lose the imaginary playmate. But I have to say that I just wanted to share with you that I am proud to be adopted. And my mom told me I couldn't be an artist growing up. So I learned how to eat, sometimes double, because I knew I was an artist, like I knew I was a girl. And I have to tell you, I love to go to the zoo. In fact, I went to Thunderland. We were really close to the zoo today, but I think the giraffe is my spirit animal, mainly because of the long neck, but I'm open to leopards and armadillos too. And I just am so happy to be here. And today I can say very proudly, I still love the zoo and I am an artist. I'll make it short and sweet. Thank you so much.
Ah, all right,
That was my PG story.
fantastic. Is Anne the chair?
Well, adopted at a zoo. Yeah. I would like to go to the zoo and adopt something. I think I'd like to adopt a Bengal tiger, keep it in my backyard.
Sure.
And make sure nobody bothers me in the house. Okay, so our next storyteller is going to be coming from Maine via Zoom. It's a couple, John and Rebecca Petrick. And they live in Davis, but they spend about 4 or 5 months in Maine, out where one of their children live and their grandchildren. So they have a beautiful place on a lake, and they're probably just sitting out now. They probably just had a nice little cocktail and they're all ready to get loose and tell a story. And John got involved with storytelling about 3 years ago, I think, in Davis. He looked up our organization and got involved, and right away has become an amazing storyteller. And now he's telling stories throughout the United States. He's been on Zoom and he's with groups out there in Maine. He's been down to Boston. And his wife, Rebecca, is an amazing classical violinist and was a music teacher for many years. And I said to John and Rebecca when they were out here in Davis, you guys ought to get something together and try it, working together in a storytelling musical thing, because there are a few artists like that, and it really is unique and it adds a lot. One is Patrick Ball, who plays the auto harp, a Celtic harp. I mean, there's just many possibilities. So that's what they're going to do today. John and Rebecca have created a story, and you'll be hearing Rebecca with their violin. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but I'm sure it's going to be interesting, engaging, and a lot of fun.
And you have to do full screen afterwards, so we get to see all of them. You can do full screen.
Thank you, Ed. The story we're going to tell today is called The Reluctant Dragon, and this is a very loose adaptation of a story by Kenneth Grahame. Long ago, not far from the rugged Maine coast, lived a poor farmer and his wife. And they had a boy, but the boy was different. You see, the boy cared little about farming like his parents or about chasing snakes and squirrels like the other boys. This boy loved only to read, and sometimes he would get so absorbed in his reading he would forget to do his chores. But his parents did not beat him because they knew that some people need to know the ways of the village and some people need to know more. Well, all the best pasture land close to the village had long ago been taken by the wealthy farmers, so the poor farmer had to drive his cow and sheep far into the hills to find pasture. One evening he came home all afluster. It's a disaster, I tell you. The sheep were nervous and I was hearing noises and I went to the top of the highest hill and there's a dragon. There's a dragon in the chalky cave. Oh, what will we do? He will kill us all. Now, Father, said the boy, I know much about dragons. They are in many books. Let me talk to him. And the parents agreed, and they were very proud to have such a brave and knowledgeable son. The next morning, the boy hiked up to the top of the highest hill. The view from there was magnificent. The brooks, the meadows, the trees sloping down toward the village. Beyond that, some smaller green hills, and beyond that, the blue of the ocean. And at the top of the hill slept a blue dragon, as big as 20 oxen with claws as long as knives. Mr. Dragon? What do you want? I just want to talk to you. You won't throw stones at me or poke me with sharp sticks like those other boys? Oh, no. I know dragons are very sensitive and intelligent. The dragon looked at the boy with new respect. It sure is pretty up here. Do you plan on staying? Well, I don't know. I like it here. I don't need much. I don't do a lot of rampaging or chasing knights. I mostly just think. Well, what do you think about? Well, I write poems and stories, just for fun, you know. Well, me too. But nobody else in the village does that. And so thereafter, each day the boy would come to the top of the highest hill, and the dragon would tell his tales of long ago when many dragons roamed the land. And the boy would tell his stories and the verses that he had written. But one day the boy had a different message. You know, you can't stay here. Most people think that dragons are the enemies of the human race. Soon the people of the village will come with weapons and drive you out. But you know I wouldn't hurt anyone. I was hoping I could stay. But the warning of the boy soon came true. There are no secrets in a small town, and soon everyone knew about the dragon. And even though he hadn't harmed as much as a chicken, tales of his violence and his depravity spread far and wide. Why, to hear the men down at the village tavern each night, it was only their bravery and courage that kept all the women and children and livestock from being devoured. But in the morning, it was only the brave boy who went to the top of the highest hill. But one day, the village was all abuzz with excitement. News of the dragon had traveled all the way to England, and St. George was coming to slay the dragon. The people cheered and lined the roads as St. George rode in on his tall white warhorse, his armor glowing gold in the sunset. The next morning, the boy found St. George at breakfast. St. George, this dragon won't hurt anyone.
Well, by Jove, I think I know a lot about dragons, son. And they aren't always truthful.
But this one is. You must meet him. And so St. George and the boy hiked to the top of the highest hill. And St. George did in fact find that the dragon was kind and peaceful.
Oh, by Jove, now what are we going to do? I told the people of the village that I would slay a dragon. I have a reputation to uphold. Don't you at least have some damsels in distress? I like rescuing fair maidens.
Wait, said the boy, I have an idea. And the three huddled together and whispered. When St. George returned to the village, the news soon spread that he would slay the dragon the next day. The next morning found the people of the village streaming up the top of the highest hill with their picnic baskets full of food and wine. They laid their blankets near the cave and waited for the entertainment to begin. At about noon, they saw St. George coming up the hill on his tall horse, his armor and his sword glinting in the sunlight. Hearing the clink of the armor, the dragon jumped out of the cave, breathing smoke and fire, cracking his tail like a whip, getting dangerously close to the picnickers. St. George charged! But the dragon easily deflected the first two charges and in fact drew blood on the knight's horse. But the third charge, the lance of St. George, struck the dragon squarely and the dragon went down. The crowd cheered. Crying, the boy rushed to the dragon, only to have the dragon wink at him. The boy's plan had worked. The knight had struck the dragon in exactly the spot where his scales were the thickest and impenetrable. St. George stood in triumph over the dragon. But when the dragon began to stir, someone yelled, "Off with his head!"
Not yet, said St. George.
And George and the boy led the defeated dragon down into the village, where a great celebration was planned. After much food and drink, St. George rose to speak.
People of the village, on the way down the hill, the dragon promised me that if he's able to stay at the top of the highest hill, that he will protect this village from all intruders and all other dragons forever. I have known many dragons, and I find this one to be trustworthy. The dragon shall live.
The people were stunned, disappointed. But after a few more drinks, they were soon saying, "Hail to the dragon!" The dragon stepped forward.
I want to thank St. George and the people of the village.
And then, like any frustrated storyteller that finally has an audience, he started telling his stories. But alas, all good things must come to an end, and when the keg was empty, the villagers filed out one by one. And soon it was only the boy and the dragon. And the boy had promised the dragon that he would walk him up the hill because the dragon was afraid of the dark. But the boy was very young and it was very late, and they'd only gone a short way when the boy lay down by the side of the road and the dragon lay down next to him. And that is where St. George found them the next day. He roused them, and the three of them together, arm in arm, walked to the top of the highest hill.
Hail to the mountain and hail to Becky and John. Boy, I'll tell you what, I expect to see this duo up at the International Storytelling Festival with a whole new duo that people have. You guys were fantastic. Amazing storytelling and all the instruments were a great addition. All right, thank you so much, John and Becky.
Thank you, guys.
All right, well, our next storyteller is Karen Daly. She is a long-term member of Toastmasters and this guild and has done so many great things as our treasurer for this organization. She's been a host here. She was our host last month. If you saw her before, you're going to be inspired by her energy. She's an amazing storyteller. One of the stories that she told that always stuck with me was about her job with the city as an exterminator with thousands and thousands of rats. I just can't wait to see what Karen's going to come up with today. Thank you, Karen. Welcome. Oh, the title of your story. Let's see. Unusual pets.
Thank you, Ed, and welcome everyone. That's a hard act to follow. What an exciting new program. I love that. Anyway, I decided to tell this story because last month I was hosting our theme was pets, and I heard wonderful stories, and I thought, but I have a good story too. So I said, I'm going to tell this month. Anyway, when I grew up, we always had pets in the house, mostly dogs. And if a stray cat came, we had cats, but mostly dogs throughout my life. But when I got married and started my family, we had mostly cats because I love cats. Then we moved up to Bernie, California. In case any of you know, it's up in the mountains next to Bernie Falls. And there we bought a house. And as a housewarming gift from our realtor, she brought this little ball of fur to my children. And when I say little, it fit in my hands. Well, come and behold, it was a puppy, a black puppy with little scruffy white under the chin and on the hair. We named her Inky, and she was Chihuahua and Terrier. So you probably have an idea. She won two ugly dog awards,
Yeah.
but she was so cute. Again, we had pets. So my daughter in her sophomore year decided that we were done with the hamsters and all that. She wanted something different. She wanted a rat. I said, a rat? I want a rat, Mom. I thought, I have no problems with that. Let's go down and get a rat. So we got this rat from this pet store, black and white, very cute. I want you to know, rats are very smart animals. They may have tiny little brains, but they use all of that brain power. She named him Salvador Dali after her favorite
Nice.
artist. She loves Salvador Dali. So Salvador literally came to his name, and he was so smart, he knew he had to go in the cage when she went to school. He waited when she came home. She opened the cage, and the room was all his, and he knew it. He used a litter box. We just took a shoe box, put some litter in it, and he used the litter box. We never had to worry about it. And he could come out if he stayed on her shoulder, and he knew that. So when she would come to watch TV, he would sit on her shoulder and watch TV with the rest of the family. And off she went to college 2 years later, and he lived all the way through. Didn't quite make through her junior year in college, which was a long time for a rat. So he lived a long and happy life. So I want another pet. Well, what do you want? An iguana. An iguana? Try to, in my mind, think of this African lizard thingy dingy. And so she said, yeah. So I said, well, if you know where we can find one, and she did. So we went down and got this little 8-inch little iguana. So we've had a little tank, aquarium, no problem. Well, within a couple of months, another aquarium, within another aquarium. Well, by time she graduated, my husband had to make a 6-foot by 3-foot cage for her little iguana named Spaz. And again, they have a tiny little brain, but he used it all. He knew his name. He would come when he was called, have the run of the apartment, had no trouble at all, would come and would sit on the back of the couch when we watched TV.
Wow.
This wonderful pet lasted until she was married. I think he was about 8 years old. When he passed away, he had gone from this little 8-inch to 6 feet from head to tail.
Wow.
And he weighed 30 pounds. He was monster. I couldn't pick him up. She had to pick him up. So although they were unusual pets, we really had a good time and a fun time and learned a lot. So when somebody says, I want a new pet, and they come up with this, what do you know? If you watch Dr. Jeff, the veterinarian, they have little hedgehogs that are so cute, and possums and all that. So never say no when your child says, can I have a pet?
That was another great story, Kara. Thank you so much. From the exterminating rat story to having your own rats and an iguana. Oh my goodness. When I lived in Mexico, kids would have iguanas around their necks, and it just is an amazing animal. And thanks for sharing that story. We appreciate it. All right, our next storyteller comes from Stockton. He's a Spanish teacher at San Joaquin Delta College. And I originally taught part-time there. And every month he puts on a storytelling gathering in Stockton on a Monday night. And a lot of people from the local area come for that at a beautiful little place downtown. And I've heard him tell quite a few stories. It's every Monday, once a month. And he didn't want to give us his bio. So in the program, you'll say, my story is my bio, because his story is his bio. So let Manuel introduce himself to all of you.
Thank you, sir. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself. Growing up in Mexico, my dream was to come to the United States. I read an ad in the paper that said, "We'll make your dreams come true. Come on down." Okay. So I got there and they go, "You wanna go to the United States?" Yeah, well, sign up. So I did. I signed up. And so they put me in a mental institution.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And so I said, okay, well, I'm in a mental institution. Like, how do you like being in a mental institution? Well, I don't know. I don't like it. Well, want to go to the United States? Yeah. Okay. So you have to go through the program. We're going to train you to go to the United States. All right. So I took the program. It was an intensive program. And then I finished the program. We graduated with a cap and gown and everything. Right. Okay. Now you're ready to go to the United States. All right. Okay. You're going to be an immigrant. All right. That's good. All right. So this is your assignments. You're going to kill an American every day. You're going to make Americans addicted to drugs.
Oh gosh.
And then you're going to steal jobs from Blacks and Hispanics. All right. So for the last 40 years or so, I've been killing one American a day. I'm quite famous. You should know I'm quite famous. So when you open the murder page, I'm right there every day. Yeah. You know, after a while, I kind of got tired of seeing myself in the paper. You know, I go, I don't think I should do it every day. I think I should do it just once a week. You know, so I've been killing people, 7 people once a week on Saturdays. Don't worry, I'll did it. I just did it earlier. Yeah, so I've been doing that. The other thing I've been doing is making Americans addicted to drugs. So I've been in restaurants, putting drug in your food, your coffee, at the bars, putting drugs in your drinks. You know, I've been all over the place. I'm in every street corner, you know, offering stuff, you know, hey, you want to buy this stuff? Look at, try it. Sure. You know, they take it. And then, hey, you had any more of that? Sure, I can get you anything. Yeah, so I've been doing that. And I'm very successful at it, right? And then I went to steal jobs from Hispanics and Blacks. So I tried it. You know, I went to the fields to pick tomatoes. And I go, this is kind of hard. I don't want to steal this shit. No, I don't want to steal that job. You know, a gardener? No, I don't want to steal that job. No. So I said, no, okay. I'm gonna try black jobs. So I went to the MBA. It didn't work. Can't steal that one. And then the NFL, forget it. No way. Yeah, so it didn't work. So I have an idea. I'm gonna steal white people's jobs. Now, do I want to be a doctor, a lawyer? Why? Maybe a professor. Okay, so I went, and there was a line of white guys, waiting for the professor job, no? So I got there and I go, hey, look, a plane. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? And when they look, I snatched the job. I stole. That's how I became a professor. I got it. And what comes next is the most famous line in storytelling. One day, yes, one day, I got caught.
Oh.
Yeah, I got caught. So I was detained, and here are these people telling me, okay, this is the Drug Enforcement Administration, but don't tell anybody. This is top secret. All right. And we're gonna send you back. And you're gonna take all these arms with you. You're gonna be a smuggler. Is that better than an immigrant? Smuggler better than immigrant? Shut up, shut up. Don't ask questions. They just want to send you back. Okay, so I took all these arms to Mexico. And when I got there, they go, hey, good job, good job. What are these arms? Why are you bringing all these arms? Well, the DEA. Don't say that. Top secret. Well, good job, good job. All right, so, we're gonna give you another assignment. You are going to be promoted. All right. So I'm just gonna leave it there because I don't want to scare you. Huh? So now you know a little bit about myself. Thank you so much.
Now you know all about immigrants.
Yeah.
And how to be successful is one. Fantastic. All right, so we are now going to take a 15-minute break. Vicky, one of our board members, sets up this great spread of food every time, every gathering we have. So please feel free to get some of that. And then you will actually hear Vicky tell some stories, and she has something to say right now. Oh, all right. So Vicky doesn't want to take all the credit. We got Joyce and we got Suzanne bringing in things too. So please thank them as you chow down.
Okay.
It's in progress. Oh, no.
Okay, everyone, welcome to the second half of our Sacramento Storytellers Guild gathering here on this beautiful day. We've heard 4 amazing storytellers, and when we get going here, we're going to hear 2 storytellers and a poet. And one storyteller has just come on at the last minute, so we're so thankful that he was willing to do this. A couple advertisements here. There's a group called the Storytelling Association of California, which we're a member of. There's about 20 story swap groups in California that are part of this membership. And you can hear, they put on monthly events like ours. This event is being recorded, so any of you can go to just punch in YouTube, Storytelling Association of California, and the recording will be there in a couple days. Because we are using the Zoom account of the Storytelling Association of California. And that organization puts on workshops, festivals, and supports groups all throughout California. That's one organization, and to join, it's like $35 a year, and you get access to this organization called Story Crossroads from Utah that has over 50 hours of workshops and storytelling performances that you could just check out anytime. And one last thing is there's the National Storytelling Network organization. They're out of Kansas City. So we've got local, California, national, and there's also an international organization in Tennessee. I just went to this conference. I've learned some new stories. They had it this year up in the Seattle area. 3 days of amazing, these are more workshops and some performances, but workshops is the focus. So if you want to learn a lot more about this, get involved with our organization. Joyce knows a lot about this, Karen, myself, a lot of resources here for this. So our next storyteller is Vicki Carroll. She's a board member. She is part of the Sacramento Poetry Center. She's produced lots of poetry, but she is going to tell us a story. She's venturing into the whole storytelling community. She's been inspired by listening to the great storytellers that we've had here. And besides this, I said before, she's a person responsible for organizing all the food with donations from other people. So we really appreciate that. So everyone, please give a big round of applause for Vicki Carroll, a storyteller today, not a poet.
Yay, Vicky. I changed the song. Is that how it goes? Hey guys, I'm gonna tell you a little story about a thing that happened to me, and somehow I really do, in my heart of heart, believe we are all connected. This happened maybe over 30 years ago. I was a home health nurse then, and I lived alone, and I had gone to bed. My cat between my legs and my dog on my right side, as it was every night. And I didn't think much about it. August 9th, 1995. Around a little after 4, I woke up. Not normal. I don't know why I woke up, but I scooched out of there without waking up either one of my animals. And I went into the kitchen and I got my Cherry Garcia ice cream.
Yeah.
And I was just eating spoonful, eating, not knowing why I'm doing this. And, after 4 o'clock in the morning. But as soon as, I felt full, I went back to bed. I scooched back in. No animals woke up. All animals were protected in this little experiment of mine. Anyway, I went to sleep and I woke up exactly when I needed to, without alarm clock or anything. Got ready and went. I felt really weird though. I went on to take care of my insulin patients. They're always first on the list in the morning. And I did that, and I was coming around the XY freeway, right around Broadway. And then the radio said, Jerry Garcia died 4:23 a.m. I have chills all over my body right now. And I was just, I just wailed. I had to pull over, but then I realized, oh my gosh, we're all connected. How would I know to do that? So I went on with my day, got home. Me and my dog packed up to go camping because that's how I handled things then. And went out to the mountains and made a fire and put my tent up and danced to Grateful Dead music. And the funny thing, my dog's watching me like, what is going on with her? But I dancing all around, and when I saw my shadow, because of the fire, I really did look like a bear. And that was one of Jerry Garcia's nicknames. So I'm like, oh gosh. So I went to bed, and then the next morning I woke up, put my Walkman on. You remember Walkmans, right? I had a tape in there for classical music. And I walked down with my dog to the creek and sat down and just still grieving Jerry, but aware enough to look around me. Music in my ear, no one could hear it, but birds were going to it. Butterflies were going to it. The trees were swaying to it. The water was lapping to it. It was almost like every nature thing was trying to make me feel better. And I really, really, really appreciated that. I really did feel like I'm connected with more than just people, but the whole earth. And so what I just want you guys to know is I really believe I was part of the end of the body of Jerry Garcia. And I won't ever forget that. I want you guys to know, not just for Jerry, but anybody you love or even have a crush on, don't even know. You really love them. They're part of your life and you're part of theirs. So it would be really great if we could pass this along and realize this in our heart, that love is the most strongest thing that there is, and it might help our whole planet. I don't know, but I just decided I needed to say this out loud. And I thank you, Jerry Garcia, for teaching me connection. I mean, he was kind of like not really a prophet, but a philosopher. Everybody loved Jerry. So I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you, Jerry. That was a very nice presentation. Jerry Garcia, do we have any deadheads in the audience? Okay, we have a few. We have a few. I never got into that, but so many of my friends did, and I do appreciate his music, but I know the gatherings were fantastic. I see one person nodding her head back there. She's probably been to a few of them, but very nice. Thank you, Vicki, for sharing that. And your foray into storytelling is well underway, and with your great poetry that you presented here, this is going to be a new addition to our group, and we appreciate that. Okay, our next person is Dwight Jackson. He's performed here once before. He's a member of the Sacramento Poetry Center and is a poet who goes under the pen name The Nomad, because he was an Army kid, and as he traveled around, went to many places around the world, I think those experiences have really came into his soul and helped him create amazing poetry. And he is published in a couple organizations, the Voices 2024, and a local Sacramento Poetry Center newsletter, the Poet News.
Yes,
so
regularly.
please welcome The Nomad.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Jump.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll let you set it up.
I'm set up now. Thank you very much. Storytelling Guild. I've got stories for you, but I'm just not ready yet. A little fearful.
Is this good?
That's excellent. Thank you very much. All right. My elixir of life. Everybody, let's take a sip of water just because it's. Okay. Good afternoon. I am the Nomad. And well, traveling is one of those things I really like to do. I've got a series of poems here for you, and I'm see if I can't keep this stuff in order. And I really love my drum because the drum also speaks to me, so I try and bring one with me. This first one is called Having No Choice in the Matter. It dawned on me last night while failing to sleep. I'm mad, not angry, irritated, or pissed. I am mad, truly mad. And knowing this madness can only be subdued with love makes me even madder. I am mad, having come to terms with the disdain recognized in the eyes of those who view me as less than. I am mad at those believing themselves to be more deserving of the rights to the title America than all others. This simmering madness spawns these questions. Where does all this hatred this selfishness, this egotistical attitude, this unmitigated gall come from? Help me understand the new rules. When did what is right go far left? Or is it that the left has gone far right? Was it at the same time that lies became interchangeable with the truth?
Wow.
Am I the only one confused? And how did correct cease to be right? And when did fair become subjective? And why has my voice become negated? Tell me again, why can't I vote here? Most confusing of all, the higher power commands we fight hatred with love, even though we know they refuse to fight fair.
Wow. Fantastic. Quite nicely.
Stewards of the planet. The human existence is a collage of egocentricities. How odd, the greatest creations have caused the greatest destructions. Time is a construct of man, giving weight to the idea of being late or rushing to be on time, when in reality, all things are right on time in their own time. Money is another construct of man, meant to enhance commerce, yet it enhances poverty, enhancing hoarding, locking out more than it lets in. But that was the idea all along. Erase the concept of barter or share means more for me, less for you. Mechanized industrialism, still one more constructive man, working in concert with time and money, creating a byproduct entitled industrial waste, better known as pollution, distributed evenly through air, water, and land. Odd how man's greatest creations have caused the greatest destructions. Truth be undeniable, humans are a collage of egocentricities. Blessedly, there still exists those hoeing rows, planting seeds, pulling weeds for those coming up, because that is what's needed if man's species are to return to being what we are meant to be, stewards of this planet.
Yeah. Nice.
All right, I'm gonna change this a little bit, all right? Not all gloom and glory. Okay. This is called Will She or Will She Not? I am perplexed as how to handle these feelings the sight of her create. I want to confess, however, fear or is it caution keeps me at bay. My mind says safety first in such matters, only fools rush in. While thumping hard in my chest, my heart says, that's a coward's excuse for hiding the truth. My soul says, be bold. It may be your only chance for true romance. With that said, I step forward, popping the question, you want to dance?
Nice.
My search. In search of a nirvana, I found myself. When I accepted who I am, I found my way. When I stopped following others, I found peace of mind. When I stopped looking for approval, I found love. And when I learned to love thyself, I recognized that I had always known all I need to know, and I cannot go back to not knowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
About you. Your love brings me joy, warms this heart, across negative emotions, taught me how to love me. Thoughts of you create tingling vibrations, sometimes tears of happiness, overwhelming desires to share these feelings through warm embraces known as hugs. Here's one just for you.
Yeah.
All right, we're going downhill again. Personal problems. What constitutes heartbreak? Does a fracture suffice? How about an oozing crack begging for a band-aid? And need it be a cavernous fissure to be official? Need there be an audible ouch? Are tears necessary? And most importantly, what is the cure for a broken heart? Epiphany. I have misused this body for quite some times, 6 decades plus 6 years and counting, selfishly ignoring its true needs while proudly boasting nothing has fallen off yet. However, recently, through discomforts have increased to pains. Breathing has become a strain, dwelling in brown fog and acid rain, causing the vitality from this body to drain. Physicians admonish sternly, in order to survive or just stay alive, major changes need take place. No longer can I run this rat race. An Exodus was the prescriptions prescribed. Such a thought was baffling, being that it never dawned on me my style of living was killing me. Boggles the mind. What could possibly be given up? I need creature comforts to sustain me. Simple access to excessive gluttony to support my couch potato existence. Starting with beer, pizza delivery, and cable TV. Most would agree, all simple life necessities. When I stopped bemoaning the change in physical placement and embraced a different kind of living, I began to feel the contrast in the variations of atmosphere I had come out of versus that which I have entered. I noticed the aroma of fresh air gained an understanding to reign as a cleansing, life-giving process. As I listened, I heard trees talk. As I relaxed into this newness, my spirit takes flight, following songbirds I would have not otherwise paid attention to. I discovered the natural beauty of harmonious living, being aware of an epiphany, becoming aware of an epiphany. Nature is, by and large, if we're respectful, nature is, by and large, friendly, if we are respectful of the Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Well,
Right, more of the elixir. Can never be enough. This is called What About Me? If the good die young, what does that say about me? So unwilling to give in to the obvious. Because I spent most of my days ignoring my faults, I was stupefied to discover the level of imperfection I had obtained. Wondering shamefully, what about me? Is there still time to make amends?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
always.
Tongue-tied. I want to know more words so I can better express the many mysteries that plague my unknown. Hear me. Within elderhood, I have found my voice, and surprisingly, I can sing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Today's offering. I have stuff to offer and stuff I won't. It's not that I'm selfish. It's just that I must save some stuff for tomorrow's offering.
Yeah, right.
Thank you. Oh, I just gotta grab this cane because it follows me. I don't know why, but
Smart.
yeah, yes. Thank you again. I enjoyed.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, once again, thank you, the Nomad. I still appreciate thinking much more deeply about the things that you're talking about and the use of humor and the drums in between after each telling is really a nice transition. Appreciate that. Okay, and we look forward to hearing you again
Yeah.
another day. Okay, so one of our poets, can you check and see if Ann Privateer is on there? One of our poets was not able to make it, and one of our storytellers was sick. So one of our members here and a long time friend of mine, Talib, has volunteered to share a story. He's going to tell you the title of his story. But I knew Talib when my son was going to Waldorf school, and Talib was one of the teachers at the Waldorf school. He's done many things since then, but he had a nice career with the Waldorf system, and he's an amazing teacher, great person. His wife is here also. She was a music specialist there, and these great puppeteers. No?
Not music, no.
Oh, well, the puppetry.
Handwork and movement.
And movement, yeah, handwork and movement. And so Talib's going to come up and tell us a story at the last minute. He's volunteered to come on up.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. So the story I'm going to tell you today is the mostly true story of how jack-o'-lanterns came to be. My mother's family is from Ireland, and she swears that this story was told to her by her grandfather, who actually lived through these events. There was a village, and in this village, there was a man named John, but everyone called him Mean Jack because he was mean. He didn't have a particular reason for it. He just didn't like people, so he was mean. Jack was the only blacksmith in this entire parish, so everybody had to deal with him, and nobody liked it. Well, one day, Mean Jack was there pounding on his anvil when suddenly an old man with a long white beard showed up at his door. Jack kept waiting for him to say something. Didn't say a word. He just stood there watching Jack. Now, although Jack was a mean sort, the one thing he couldn't stand is to be called inhospitable. He looked at that man, and it looked to him as if he were a little thirsty, and he said to him, "Well, why don't you come in then if you're going to stand at the door?" This old man who had a long white robe, and as I said, a big white beard, stepped in. Mean Jack looked at him and said, "Well, just sit down in that rocking chair there and let me get you some water." Jack goes and draws him some water and hands it to him. The old man carefully sipped it and set it down. "Jack," the old man said, "you may not know this, but I am actually Saint Peter, and I have been sent to walk the earth. And if anyone shows me a kindness, I am to grant them 3 wishes. And you have done so. So although you are a mean one, I must grant you 3 wishes. Now, take care. You could turn your life around with this. What do you wish for?" Well, Mean Jack got a big smile on his face. "You see that chair you're sitting in?" "Yes." "Those kids come in here and they sit in that chair and they rock and rock. What I want you to do is make that chair rock and rock and rock until their teeth flies out of their face. And it won't release until I say so." Even St. Peter couldn't hold back rolling his eyes. "Well, Jack, you burned 1 wish. What are your other ones?" "You see this hammer in my hand?" says Jack. "Yes," says Peter. "Those kids come in here and they play with it. This is what I want. anyone pick up this hammer, it will start a pounding and a pounding and a pounding and keep pounding until their arms like to fall off, unless I sets them free. Free. St. Peter let out a big sigh. All right, Jack, you only have one wish left. What will it be? You see that thorn apple tree out there? Well, them kids are always climbing it and pulling the fruit and throwing it around my yard. If anyone climbs up or even touches that tree, I want the thorns to come down and wrap them up and twist about them until I sets them free. So it is, said Peter, and immediately disappeared. Well, life went on as it often does, until Mean Jack came old Mean Jack. And one day, another stranger appeared at his door. But this stranger was a little short fella. He was all red, and he had a tail with a point on it, 2 little horns. This little demon came in, said, "Daddy says your time here is done, and I'm going to take you back down to H-E-double-L." Well, said Jack, that's all fine and good, but I've got to finish this horseshoe. Why don't you sit yourself down in that rocking chair? Sounds very good, says the little devil. And he goes over and he sits himself down. Well, that rocking chair starts a rocking and a rocking and a rocking. And he goes, "No, let me go, let me go." And Jack says, "Only if you promise you will never bother me again." "Oh, yes, I promise." And the rocking chair threw that little demon out the window. Well, some time went by and Jack was working at his anvil again, and he looked over and there's about a medium tall demon there, all fiery and red. "What do you want?" says Jack. "Well, Jack, my daddy says you shouldn't have done that to my little brother, and I'm going to take you down to H-E-double-L." "Well," says Jack, "that's all right with me. I've been a mean one, but I'll tell you, I got to finish this hinge, and I needs help. Can you pound on it while I hold it, please? Here's the hammer." "Oh, well," says the medium-sized devil, and he grabs a hammer and he starts pounding, and all of a sudden he realizes he can't let go, and he starts screaming and screaming. He says, "Let me go, let me go." And he says, "Only if you promise never to bother me again." And the devil says, "I will." And the hammer does a double flip and throws that devil out the window. Well, some time passed, as it often does. And one day, old Scratch himself shows up at Jack's door. Now, Scratch has a big, deep voice. He says, "Jack, your time has come. You will come with me to..." He actually said the word. Jack said, "Nope, not going to do it. I'm going to stay here." The devil, steam started coming out of his ears, fire started coming out of his eyes, and he looked around and he saw that thorn apple tree, and he says, "I'm going to go get a switch out of that tree and beat you until you come with me." And he goes out and he grabs the switch. And what does the tree do but scoop him up and start twisting and turning and poking the thorns all over him? And the devil himself finally says, "Let me go and I'll never bother you again." Jack says, "You may go." And the tree threw that devil all the way back to hell. Well, time went on as it often does. Finally, as many of us has found out, Jack became tired. He felt he was done with life. And so he finally put his hammer down and closed up his shop. And he started a-walking. And he walked until he got to heaven. Who'd he meet there at the gates but St. Peter himself? St. Peter looked at Jack and says, "I remember you. I gave you 3 wishes. But if I remember right, you wasted them. Well, Jack says, I guess I did. So St. Peter says, there's no place for you here, boy. You have to go down, down, down. And so Jack turned himself around and started walking down those long stairs to hell. When he got there, there was a great big wall. And up on the top of the wall was that first little devil who come to him. And he sees Jack and he turns around and says, Daddy, 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 it's me, Jack. I don't want to talk to him. And the devil says, throw him a coal and tell him to start his own hell somewhere because he ain't coming in here. And so the little devil took a coal and threw it down at Jack. Jack didn't know what to do with this. He looked around and there was a turnip growing on the ground right there. And he reached out, pulled it up, pulled out his penknife and carved a little hole in it and stuck the coal in there so it made a little light. And he started wandering the earth. And that's how he came to be known as Jack o' the Lantern.
Oh.
Now, when the Irish came to America, they saw these big, round pumpkins. They said those would make even better ones. So every October, on October 31st, when the veil between this world and the next becomes very thin, we carve out pumpkins, we put a light in them to remind us not to be like old me Jack.
Fantastic, huh?
Wow.
Someone who just comes and stands up and shares a story. Unbelievable.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we have a little bit of time left, and Suzanne had asked if she could actually finish the story she started with, because she hadn't quite finished it, but she didn't want to take up too much time. So we have a little bit of time left. So Suzanne, please come up and finish the story you started earlier.
Come on, Georgie Ann. Georgie Ann, the giraffe. How many people get a second chance in life? Well, I guess I just did, so thank you. You know, I get a little nervous still because this is new to me, but there's no excuse. Basically, I just didn't finish the story and I couldn't think there was something wrong and things were spinning through my head. And I'm like, Dad, I didn't tell the punchline. So he was gracious enough with our time to be able to let me come up here for a few minutes. So I'll recap: adopted, picked up at the zoo, picked up my brother at the zoo. They named him after one of my imaginary playmates. Had a great life. Everything's great. I used to drag my son to art museums. He hated to go. He hated it, but I made him go. And I dragged him to the zoo. He actually liked the zoo, so that was pretty cool. And when I had my son, when he was 16, he was so obnoxious. I lived in Elk Grove in a very nice suburbia house with a pool. And he was so obnoxious, he wouldn't go away. So I moved. And at the door in my new house at 19th and H, came the police. Elk Grove. Is your son named Caspian?
Oh, no.
Yeah. And did you leave him alone at the house in Elk Grove? Yeah. And they're saying, well, I can't do that because he's only 16. So I went and picked him up and, we ended up rebuilding our relationship, but he loved Midtown. In fact, he still lives here. So about 10 years ago, I took my stepdaughters and my husband at the time to the Sacramento Zoo, where they have one night a year where they let people camp. And I was so excited because we actually got to choose it. And of course, I don't go do things small. So I got a king size air mattress and I set it in the middle of the park area when we get to set up tent. And my stepdaughters were with me and they had full sizes because I didn't want to give them twins and be, frugal. And so we had their little camp set out and the Boy Scouts fed us spaghetti dinner and it was terrible, but we ate it anyway. And we went to bed about 9 o'clock, which was very early for me. but we arose at midnight for the feeding of the wild animals. And oh my gosh, the lions roar and all the animals come out and you hear birds chirping and monkeys hooing and hawing and however they hoo, you know. And I was so blown away by this. So after about an hour, we got to go back to bed and it was hard to go back to sleep. So it was probably 1:30ish or so. I fell to a deep slumber. And then I heard this loud music. And it was coming from all around me. It felt, I was just really hard acid rock, which is not my favorite. And here again, it's, 1:30 in the morning at William Lamb Park at the Sacramento Zoo. I am upset, obviously, and hard to go back to bed. So in the next morning, I was really cranky. And I finally got on the phone with my son, telling him about my experience, how first time I had a bad experience at the zoo. And he said, "Oh, was that about 1:30, 2 o'clock?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Sorry, Mom, that was me." He's a vice president of Sacramento Bike Party today. He has a subwoofer on the back of his bicycle. He has a barbecue on the back, which he calls the bike-BQ. And he plays loud music. And I don't know if you guys ever remember the shuffles that you used to carry around your neck, which was different. The later version of, what was the thing that you called a Walkman? Right.
Walkman.
Yeah, so the later version, so you could actually pick and choose your music. And he would wear a necklace of around them. We go through certain neighborhoods and he would tell people, ask them what kind of music they liked. And then he would find out what the police liked, because he was always getting these noise violation tickets. So he had his noise violation tickets laminated and on his bicycle, with a bucket for donations so I can still play my music.
Oh, gosh.
He made so much money, even when he didn't want to ride his bike anymore. He said he had to because that was the primary source of his income. So my son told me not too long ago that he's not studying international business at UC Davis anymore. He's an artist, a glass blowing, music playing artist, and he still takes everybody to the zoo. So thank you very much.
Well, we are so glad you had to finish that story. Thank you, Suzanne. Well, we've come to another wonderful Saturday of storytelling. Next month, Mark Berry will be the host. He's a long-term member. If any of you want to tell a story, you're all members, or if you're not a member, get on our email list and we'll be sending out the flyer. Suzanne and Joyce have been making flyers here for us and sending out good information. So if any of you want to, you just contact Mark Berry and say, "Oh, I've got a story I'd like to share."
And the theme is harvest.
Oh, the theme is harvest. Now, once again, you can fit that theme. We use themes as ideas to spark your imagination and get things going. However, if you have any other story that doesn't relate to harvest that you want to share, it's not a problem. So we encourage you to come here live or in person, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Oh, live or in person, live or on Zoom. Thank you.
Will you tell anybody who wants to start a story, make a story, so forth, that to let me know? And we have informal class where we just have, it's called a story clash, and we'll help anybody, beginners, professionals. We all just sit around and help each other work on stories.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard that, but at Joyce's house, she and any other storytellers that want to get together will work with you on developing a story. So if you have a new story, you could be an experienced teller, you got something new you want to work on, you want to get feedback, you're a brand new storyteller, you want to try something, learn some things. We do that on a regular basis. There are some dates that if you're on our email list, you will get that information. And Vicky is raising her hand back here. Okay, so Vicky here for her first time with storytelling, really got the inspiration from working with Joyce and probably other people there. So it's a great benefit of being a member of our organization, and it's only $20 a year. And we're planning another festival, another fantastic festival in March. We've had 2 already, got another one coming up. And so please come to our monthly meetings, get on our email list, find out about everything. And thank you all for attending. Have a great day. And thank you, Adele, as our